Hi, welcome to our first episode of STEM Chat. I'm Natalie Z. Drieu from the Bay Area, California.
And I'm Diana Ng from New York City.
Diana and I have known each other for a long time, over 14 years. I used to work for Maker Media, and I worked on the craft magazine side of things. And we both have collaborated on projects. And this was a photo from us from 2007. We were presenting DIY Halloween costumes on a CBS This Morning in New York City. So kind of a blast from the past. Project before we had kids.
Yeah, before we had kids, we used to talk all the time about fashion and tech and making things, of course. And then after we had kids, I have a first grader and a preschooler. And
I have a middle schooler, 7th grader.
So then we started texting each other back and forth, talking about kid activities to do, and then lots of STEM. So we thought it would be really neat to start a video series so that we could share our STEM ideas with all of you, and hopefully you could share your STEM ideas with us too, and we could inspire each other.
For sure. Because right now, I think we all know we're in a pandemic right now. A lot of us are staying at home. Remote learning is going on. I know my daughter, her school is all remote learning right now. Same for you, right, Diana?
My daughter's also doing remote learning.
So we thought it'd be fun to put together this video series for you guys where we share some of the things we love and we're doing with our kids, and things that don't involve a screen.
Well, yeah, because they're already getting a lot from remote learning.
Exactly. So our first episode is learning through play. And Diana, tell us more about it.
Sorry. I'm a big fan of learn through play. So I basically feel that when children play, they're able to learn things. Maybe they're learning role-playing with things and learning socially, or they could also be indirectly learning about math or engineering. And I do feel, though, that some toys help kids learn a little bit better than other toys. So this first episode, I wanted to start off by talking about blocks.
I love blocks because they're so simple they can be anything. They're great for open-ended play. For example, this block could be a bed, or a phone, or a sandwich. Whereas the pony is difficult to imagine as anything other than a pony. And this type of block in particular is nice because it introduces children to math while they're playing with it.
These proportional unit blocks were developed in 1913 by Carolyn Pratt for a preschool in New York City called City and Country. They're mathematically correct. So 2 rectangles make a square, and 2 squares make a rectangle. And they're a really great way for children to learn about geometry, fractions, and partitioning shapes.
So when you play with these blocks with your kids, do you tell them about these, being equal shapes, building on each other?
No, I don't really tell them. They kind of figure it out on their own, because as they're playing, they line up the blocks, and they have the way that they have to orient them and put them together. It just winds up being the bigger shape. Like sometimes they'll only have a rectangle and they need another rectangle, but they don't have one, so they'll have to put 2 squares there instead.
So what are your kids making with these blocks?
Let's see. So they're really into making sort of role-playing scenes for little figures. So they make like theaters and castles. And then they also like to use tape with the blocks. And so they'll cut up paper and tape it to the blocks, or they make a little phone for themselves or some other little thing to carry around. And we have quite a large collection, actually. So sometimes they'll build some large thing that they can actually climb into, like a boat or something.
That's really cool. That's opening up their imagination.
Yeah, I think they really like it a lot. They are always going back to it and playing, unless it gets too messy. So we like the rainbow blocks because there are a lot of sort of tricks you can do with them. You can make marble runs with them when they're turned sideways. You can hit them with a mallet, and then each one will play a different tone because they're all different sizes. You can kind of put them together and make circles like this, and then rock them back and forth. They're a lot of fun, and if you look them up on YouTube, they're made by Grimm's. It's called the Grimm's Rainbow. You'll see all sorts of demos that people have made with different things you can do with them. rainbow blocks. I wanted to show the domino blocks. Can we go to the side-by-side? Yeah. Yeah, so this is a different set of blocks we have. They're also from Grimm's, and other companies make the blocks like the rainbow blocks and the domino blocks too. But I just happen to have the ones from this company. And these are nice because they're kind of proportional to each other, and my kids like to use them to make decorations on their, their like natural wood color blocks. And then they also make domino runs with them. We have kind of like a whole collection, then you can always use them in different ways.
And they use all these different kinds of blocks together. They don't just use just the rainbows with the rainbows. They mix them all together, right? The dominoes, the city and country blocks, and the Grimm's rainbow, right?
Yeah, and there's other ones you can get too. So I'll once in a while add a new thing to our collection, and that's always very exciting.
That's so cool that they love it. And this also is great because you're not relying on screen time to keep them occupied. Their imaginations are going, and at the same time, they're learning about building, engineering, shapes, mathematics through, knowing how many number of blocks to build something, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and it's really great for their imagination. And this is kind of nice too, because I feel like once they get started on building something with it, they can just keep going, and they'll play with it for days. Like we still have their castle up that they constructed a few days ago. That's why some of these blocks were missing, actually. The full set goes to here, but I want to take it out of their castle.
That's really cool. Yeah, and then that's something they can keep there, and they build it, and then they take it down, they build something new again. So it's kind of nice, and it gives you a little break too, because the two of them, they're occupied together, and they're building. So you feel good that they're building something fun and unique, and using their brains and having fun with their imagination.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So Diana, I have a question for you. How do you set up all these blocks for your kids to play? Because you have a lot of blocks there, so I'm just curious.
Well, I have them set up on our shelves, and I try to sort of display them so it looks like they're in a toy store, like a little museum, so that the kids will feel like they want to go up and grab it off the shelves and play with it on their own. There's a whole thing on Instagram, if you look up the hashtag invitation to play, where people have all different setups with these blocks.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's kind of nice to see how other people have done it too. And then on the other side of my shelf, on the right side, I do a toy rotation. And you can see on the lower shelves, I have the toys for my younger daughter. And then as the shelves get higher, it's the toys for my older daughter. But it's nice because the kids are always excited to go and grab something off the shelf, and they just kind of do it on their own, and they can keep playing for hours if it's clean. When it gets too messy, then you have to kind of reset and put all the toys back, and when it's clean again, they're ready to go.
So how often do you rotate some of these things? Like put more, different things in the front? Because I know when my daughter was younger, sometimes you clean up the room and they're like, oh my God, I forgot about this. Like they find there's something's new again, How often do you rotate things around?
I usually wait until they seem bored and aren't going up to grab things off the shelf and play on their own, or they say, oh, I'm bored, I have nothing to play with. And then I think, oh, time to do the toy rotation again. That's cool.
How long do you think that usually is? Like a few weeks?
Or? So it depends on the toy. Some toys are more interesting than others. It can be, usually we last at least 2 weeks, but if it's like a new, really exciting toy, it could be up there for a month.
Oh, that's cool. Very cool. So that's a great tip for all of us at home right now. Let me show you some of the stuff we've been doing. So Diana and you kind of got us into origami. We've done some before, but my daughter is 11, almost 12. And so we spent a lot of time folding and doing crafts at the dining room table. We didn't really have any, parties or anything going on. So the dining room table kind of became the hub for activities, mostly crafts or puzzles. And so my daughter loved doing her little origami there. We also, I go back one. On the kitchen table, sometimes we have a heated game of Blockus, and this is a really fun game. And it also brings up great counting and spatial skills for kids. It's fun for the whole family. I'd say from probably like 4 to 100. My mom, who's 80, comes and plays with us, and we all love it. So basically, you have to fill up with your colors use up as much as your pieces as you can, but there's a strategy to it because you have to, count the right shapes, and they're all like different kind of, it's almost like a Tetris, but in a board game. So we've been doing that a lot. And then my daughter had gotten this Harry Potter 3D puzzle of Ron's house. It took probably about 2 months to build because we would do it on and off, and sometimes we would help her. But the end result is great. And I thought like 3D puzzles are such a great thing for older kids because maybe they're getting kind of bored with just everything flat and doing like 1,000 pieces. But even on Amazon, you could search up. It's not just Harry Potter. You could build like, Empire State Building or anything else. So there's a bunch of 3D puzzles, and I think they're super fun and really give kids that kind of 3D spatial sense of building stuff. Okay, so now that we've kind of shared with you about how we've been sheltering at home and having little activities at home, I think one of the things we're enjoying right now is getting outside, and you can learn so much about STEM right outside your door, right, Diana?
It's true. We've been going on little walks a lot.
Yeah, my daughter and I have too. And let me show you this really quick. Let me share.
Okay.
We enjoy looking at nature, and she loves plants. And she always wonders what the names of plants are. So there's this app called Seek, and you can put it on your phone or your iPad, and you roll over any plant or even insect. She also takes photos of the plants with her instant camera. And so she created a little journal where she, displays her photos she's taken of nature around us. And then she decided to focus on the red hot poker plant that we see all the time. And she put little facts about the plant around there. And it's something fun for her to do, over the course of a week. We found we loved it, and now it's like, let's find the next plant we're going to talk about, or even we can roll over and look at insects and find out what the names of the insects are. But it's just a quick little fun way to learn about plants and botany.
That's so nice. And she's going to have a really nice notebook at the end of all this to look back at.
Yes. And so speaking of which, let me find the images. One of my good friends, she also has a middle schooler and was wondering what to do with her girls. And her daughter also had a instant camera. So she took a photo of a sunflower she saw on one of her walks and decided to paint it. So I love that there's variation, and you don't have to take it so literally. Just whatever your kids enjoy to do, painting, drawing, sketching, what have you. And also just even looking back, what you mentioned about having looked back, this is my daughter's sketchbook from 2018, and just all the nature we have around us, little lizards and little bugs. And she was inspired by this squirrel napkin we had, and just kind of used that as a centerpiece, and then wrote little facts about things that she saw. So it's kind of nice to look back on. That was 2 years ago, and we kind of think, oh, wow, look how far she's grown. But it's definitely something you can do in the pandemic that sort of takes kids away from so much screen time.
Yeah, that's right. And also encourages them to explore the outdoors.
Yes. And
find inspiration in nature.
So much nature and science out there. It's just so fun. So what about you, Diana? What have you been doing?
Well, we've been going on sort of STEM hikes looking for rocks. We're kind of like junior rock hounders now. And I have my daughter's rock hounding backpack. She carries it whenever we go out hiking. And I think it makes it kind of a more exciting hike. She puts it on and runs around in it. Let me show you what's inside.
And she collects the rocks and put them in the backpack?
Yeah, so we actually went on a hike today earlier, and so these are her rocks. She usually has more. The other day she had a giant rock, and I think it made her backpack weigh 20 pounds, and she still made the whole hike back because she wanted to use it as a bookend for her school books.
Oh, cool.
Let's see. And so also inside, she has a little bottle of water and a toothbrush so that she can kind of scrub the rocks. A lot of times we're hiking, and so some of them are kind of stuck in the trail. So she'll kind of clean off the top to see if she wants to take it with her and actually scoop it out of the dirt. And for that, we have some bamboo skewers. And I didn't realize, but it's a lot of work. You have to kind of scrape out the rocks sometimes. They're not all just sitting on the surface, and then kind of pry it out. But I think she has a lot of fun doing that with her younger sister.
That's cool. She has a lot of tenacity to do that, to find out and wash and scrub, teaching them how to sort of be little archaeologists in a way, right?
Yes, yeah, I think she wants to be a geologist or something when she grows up now, because she's been talking about owning her own rock store.
Oh, that's so cool.
And I have to, let me find it. I have a picture of some of our finds from one of our hikes. Oh, here it is. So these are some rocks that we found when we were hiking in the Hudson Valley area, and this is kind of our rock cleaning setup. Although we've kind of gotten more into it, and so I just let them have at it in the bathroom sink now. But we have all sorts of scrubbers and a magnifying glass, and we use a little bit of soap, and we clean our rocks up. And I can show you what they look like when they're clean. So here are our rocks all cleaned off. And I believe we found some quartz. It's super common in our area. And I think that this is a piece of feldspar. I really am not sure. I just identified it based on YouTube videos of rocks in our area and the rock handbook. But it looks like it might be.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. This piece also has a little bit of feldspar in it. Right over there, it's the white part. And I think when the rocks are broken, it has kind of like a flat cleavage on one side. And then I believe over here, this is a piece of mica schist. And also not quite sure that I'm saying that correctly. I thought it was mica, but it's actually very hard and you can't peel it off. And then this piece was really interesting. I think it's also a piece of mica schist. But the little red parts, I believe, are garnets, which are very common in our area as well. So that was kind of exciting to find. And we were looking at it in the pocket microscope, too. And I believe all of these pieces of mica schist, they all have little tiny red spots that look like they might be garnets. Now this one, I have no idea what this is. So if anyone could tell us in the comments, that would be really awesome. My kids would be so excited. I thought it was a piece of mica, but it's also very hard. And it doesn't peel at all, and it's a little bit glassy looking.
That's cool, because I don't think I've ever really noticed rocks, but knowing that you can just clean them off and find all this is pretty interesting. We might have to try this too.
It's so funny because when we found them, they were so dirty. They really just looked like regular rocks. Like we saw that it was a bit sparkly. And then when we cleaned it off, they came out much better looking than we thought they would.
Yeah, it's amazing. And how did you know that what rocks were in your area? Did you have to look it up or?
Yes, so we found these first and thought that they were really neat, and then we were trying to figure out what they were. So that it turns out that the feldspar and quartz are very common in our area, and so are garnets. Garnet is the New York State rock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I just did a Google search about it, and then I wound up buying the New York Rock Field Guide handbook, but it's a little bit difficult to use because it's just one photograph. Whereas now on Google, you can watch YouTube videos of people finding and identifying the rocks. So you can see them turning the rocks around. It's a little easier. At the end of each episode, we'd like to share some of our favorite things. And while we're on the topic of rocks, I'd like to share our new rock tumbler that we just got in the mail.
Ooh, super cool.
Yeah, we're super excited. The whole process takes about 4 weeks, so I'm going to take some photos and make some video clips as we progress and share them back here. Here's our rock tumbler. It's very heavy and very large. And
wow.
Open it up. This is the tumbler down here, and this is the barrel. The rocks go in here, and these are all of the different abrasives and polishes. So there's 4 jars, and I think you do 1 jar for each week. I'm not exactly sure. I have to read the instructions.
Very cool. Can't wait to see the progress.
Me too.
Okay, so one of my picks for this episode is this National Geographic Make This book, and it's filled with different projects that kids can make inside or outdoor at home. Covers everything. Usually the stuff you need is just the stuff you have in your house, which I love. So this is a really fun project book. If you don't have ideas on what to do, you can even have your kids pick what project they want to make out of here too.
My daughter checked this book out from her school library about rocks, of course, and I really like it a lot. There are a lot of beautiful full color illustrations. And they do a nice job explaining things to children in the book. There's this rock cycle, and they have a nice comparison with melted crayons. They tell you about rock hounding, and this was the inspiration for my daughter's little rock hounding backpack. It's just a really nice book.
My next book is a good pick for older girls. It's from my friend Terri David. It's a new book that's just came out. I have one of the review copies, and I've reviewed it on Adafruit and include one of the projects from the book. But this is a novel. It's good for girls 8 to 12, and which she is also the co-founder of the Renegade Girls Tinkering Club in San Francisco. And so she saw that she wanted something for girls that when they were too old to be anymore in the club to go on to this new book series. And it's such a fun read. I'm halfway through the book right now. I'm almost done, but it's such a fun read, and it really inspires girls and boys. I think it's just such a fun adventure story. But what's really cool is her background's in 3D art. So she's actually drawn like little fun projects that kids can make. Like this is a secret message kit that kids can make, and it's in a comic book style. So we'll have one of the projects up on the Adafruit blog for you to see.
Oh, that's great. I like how it's a story and has instructions for how to make things.
And lastly, here's something that I want to share. When my daughter's little, these DK little Pocket Genius books. It's really cool for small hands. Talks about space here, but my daughter loved dinosaurs, and so we found one of these in space, and she had little tab bookmarks for all the dinosaurs she loved. And I told this to Diana.
Yes, and then we bought them too. Of course, we bought the rock and minerals one, and we bought the dinosaurs one because my toddler is really into dinosaurs.
Yeah, see, it's so fun, and it's so good for little hands, right? Don't you like it for little?
Yeah, and they can carry it around and kind of like go in a cozy corner and flip through. So it's very nice.
Yes, and didn't you buy some of these for like a birthday party?
Oh, yeah, I did. Actually, my toddler had a Zoom dinosaur-themed birthday party, so I bought these and mailed them out as the party favors. And I think it'll be nice because they can enjoy it as they get older.
Yes, definitely.
So that wraps up our first episode. Thank you so much for joining us.
And if you make anything in this episode, please comment below and let us know. We'd love to see it. Or if you're making anything cool and interesting that you think we should know about, we would love to hear it. Thanks for joining us. See you next time. Bye.